Okay, today we're going to be creating the watercolor tree. It's a radiant tree with a glue resist technique. And so we have glue. All you really need is a regular bottle of Elmer's glue and some black paint, and then some watercolors, any colors, paper towel, paintbrush, and water. If you don't have watercolor paint, you can use food coloring or anything to just use as a little bit of a dye. Hi, I'm Melissa from Paint Party LI, and I'm going to be creating the Radiant Tree Watercolor Black Glue Resist project today with you. All right, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to actually just sketch a tree on there. And I'm just going to use a pencil, and I'm going to just do a little trunk here. Everything that I draw in with the pencil, I'm going to then cover with my glue. So I'm just going to make some little branches coming off the top. And then I'm going to have a few little branches coming off of those. Super easy. You can do is get into as many little ones as you want to start to fill in. I do want to kind of separate these areas, so when you make the little branch, have it connect to something else so it makes a little piece that is separate, coming all the way up into the edge here. Okay, because you want to do, each section is going to be a little watercolor section. So if you see I did all of these coming off of here, they're all going to come up and connect to the edge or to each other so that we have separate little sections in here. All right, so once you have that done, we're going to go in and do the black glue. Now, to create that, you're just going to open up the top of your Elmer's glue bottle, your regular school glue. I didn't have one, so I'm using this little squeeze bottle here. I had glue in here to begin with, the same way you would with a regular glue bottle. And then you're just going to squeeze a little bit of black paint and shake it around. Okay, so what I've done is actually put it into this little tiny bottle, so it's easier to use because I didn't have a regular Elmer's glue bottle. But you can go ahead and squeeze it right out of your Elmer's glue bottle. So what I'm going to do is go over the lines here, creating my tree. Okay, these little branches, not a whole lot. You don't want super thick paint. Okay, remember this is the trunk, so I'm gonna fill that in. Make the branches a little bit thicker down towards the, closer to the trunk. Okay, as you come through, just making those branches. Right, so even if you have this little skinny one right here, you can make it a little bit thicker like that, and then just fill it in. Filling in each one of those branches with a glue. Again, a nice thin coat. You'll be using a regular Elmer glue bottle or any white school glue. I'm coming through and I'm just starting to fill it all in. It's not super thick because I want it to dry at some point. Okay, this is your first step, going through, filling in all of these branches. I do want them to be a little bit thick. I don't want them to be super skinny. So after I do my initial line, sometimes I'll go back through there and just make it a little bit thicker. Okay, once we start putting all the watercolors in, these are going to stand as like separators because the watercolor paint won't be able to go on top of the glue, so it'll be resistant to it. It'll give a nice cool effect in between. Each little section will be its own separate kind of tie-dyed looking section. Okay, so I'm coming through, going over them. Again, once I do the little line here, I'm gonna go back and make it just a tiny bit thicker. That's the main thing you're thinking about when you're making your tree, is that the trunk should be a little bit thicker. The branches will be a little bit thicker at the base, closer to the trunk. And then we're doing nice thin lines. You're not squeezing a whole ton of glue out here. Again, this is just white school glue that I mixed with some black paint. You don't need a ton of black paint to mix in there. If you have a glue bottle that's almost empty and just has a little bit of white glue, use that one first. Stick a little bit of black paint in there. All right, unless you have one of my kits, in which case you will get one of these little guys with the black paint and glue mixture already mixed. Okay, so we have this, and now we're going to go ahead and let it dry. Okay, so we allowed this to dry probably about an hour, but if you want to speed up that process, take out a hair dryer. Blow dry it from further away though, because if you put it on thick anywhere, it's going to spread out all over the place from the hair dryer. So if you're doing it with a hair dryer from real high up, nice high heat, getting everything to dry nicely. All right, so I have my glue and paint mixture here. That's going to stop all of the paint from getting in between there, kind of section it off. Now we're ready to start doing the watercolor. Again, I'm going to use an actual watercolor, but if you don't have that at home and you don't have one of the kits, you want to go ahead and grab some food coloring with a little bit of water. That'll work also. Or you can use another paint and just water it down a little bit. So we're going to achieve kind of a tie-dyed feel. And what I'm going to do first is take water on my brush. Okay, and I'm going to just fill an entire section with the water. I'm just giving it a generous amount of water, brushing over just one section at a time. And now I'm gonna put more water on here and grab a little bit of paint. Okay, so with the watercolor paint, again, I'm just rubbing a little bit on here. Had a lot of water on my brush. And because there's so much water on here, you'll see that once I put it on there, it really is kind of like absorbing into there. I'm gonna grab some more water and just drip it on there and keep going back and forth with that, starting to fill up some of these sections. Now, if you keep it very wet, and I'm gonna lay it flat so I can continue to do that. If I hold it up, then the water's just gonna drip off. I'm gonna just pick a new color, get a bunch on my brush, and just kind of drop it into the water. And you'll see that it starts to spread out a little bit. And I'm gonna keep doing that. Again, a lot of water on my brush, a lot of water on the canvas. Letting it pool up. That glue and black paint mixture is going to keep it all separated for each section. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of that original color, and I'm gonna work my way through each section. So I have a little dab there. And then if it doesn't spread out right away, grab a little more water, drip it right on there. And it'll give you a really cool kind of tie-dyed effect. Okay, and we're just using watercolor paints. I'm gonna clean off my brush and I'm gonna do the next little section right here. All right, so I just filled it in with water. I'm gonna grab a new color. And you can do all variations of the same color. You can mix it up if you want to. I'm gonna grab a little turquoise and just kind of dot it in there. Again, if it doesn't feel like it's spreading out a lot, grab a little more water on your brush and just put more water in that section. And what it'll do is start spreading out some of that paint that you put in there. So instead of just painting it on, you can kind of see it in there rolling around. Gives you this really tie-dyed feeling. All right, I'm going to work my way through each section. So when you are done with the one section, you're going to wet the next section. That's the starting point. Go in and grab a color. Again, I have a lot of water on my brush when I do that. And if you're using food coloring, just a little tiny bit in a little cup with some water. And then just dab your brush in and drop it in. Okay, so again, I'm just putting a little bit at a time. And if I feel like it's not spreading out enough, I'm going to grab some more water on my brush and drop that in so that it carries it to more of that in that section. Okay, working the next section now. I'm just going to do purple in that one. You can always go back and add more color if you feel like you need to. I just want to kind of mix it up a little bit. All right, I'm going to come in here with some yellow now. I haven't used any yellow yet. Again, choose whatever colors you want. I'm going to kind of work my way all the way through the rainbow, but feel free to just do maybe 2 colors and vary it. Okay, so I'm cleaning off my brush, putting some more clean water into the next section. And if at any point you feel like you need to clean out your water and get new water, you can, but it's not completely necessary. All right, so filling in that whole section, I'm going to pick some green this time. Again, putting a lot of water on my brush and then rubbing it here in that watercolor paint and then just kind of dropping it in here and there. So I get some of the plain canvas showing through and I get kind of this marbly tie-dyed feeling. You can mix colors in a section or you can just do one color in each section, whatever you feel like you want to do, however you want, it's your art. All right, I'm going to go ahead and grab some more water and do another section over here. Okay, let's see, there's some blue in here. And I'm going to do this section with 2 different colors. So I've got a little aqua, cleaning off my brush. Again, any set of watercolor will do. And if you don't have that, just a simple food coloring is fine too. Or super, super, super watered down, maybe acrylic you could use. Just use a very tiny bit of paint and mostly water. Okay, and then you decide how much white you want showing, how much, maybe you don't want any white showing, maybe you just keep adding colors to make it look tie-dyed. So in between each section though, it's important to clean off your brush so you don't have that last color on there just dragging it in. Okay, I've got a good amount of water in there. And now I'm going to, let's see what color, I'll do a little red in there. Okay, just adding a little bit of that color in there, letting it swirl around in the water. As that water starts to dry, it soaks into the canvas. If you can do this on a thick paper also. You don't want to do it on a super thin like printer paper, but you could do it on a thicker paper if you don't have canvas at home. Probably even a piece of cardboard would work. Okay, so I'm going very generous with the water. And now I'm going to choose a new color, add a little drip in there. Again, if at any time you feel like there's not enough water, just dip your brush, add some more water right back into that section. Okay. I'm just adding a little more color in there. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more sections to go. So I'm going to work my way around. Again, just adding water to a section, a good generous amount of water with my brush, and then just simply dipping it into some watercolor paint and letting it kind of soak and pull throughout the water that's in there. If you feel like it's not spreading, you can take your brush a little bit and push it along, or the other way is just to add more water on top of that, and that'll carry it within that whole section. But the black paint and glue mixture is great because it'll keep them all in little separate sections. So it really kind of gives you almost like a stained glass kind of feeling where it's all these little separate sections. Okay, so I'm adding water. And then I'm just going to go in there, add a little more color. And I'm just doing this to every section. Again, you'll decide how much white you want showing. Filling in each one. Okay, again, if you feel like it's too dry, grab your brush, add a little more water right into that section. But the key is to have a good amount of water sitting on there so that once you drop the color in there, it just kind of carries throughout. Constantly making sure you have enough water to really carry that vibrant color throughout. All right, making sure I have a little color in each section. And if you go back to another section and add more water and add more color, that's fine. You can do that as well. Kind of like the swirls as it carries it off to a new section with some white showing through, but if you really prefer just to have color throughout, you can do that as well. Make it as vibrant as you like. Okay, so you want to give this tree some ample drying time. Let it really sit exactly where it is for quite some time for the water to absorb into whatever you put it on, whether you put it on canvas or paper, cardboard. You want to let it dry completely before you stand it up and take a look at all the cool tie-dyed sections. All right, thanks so much for painting along with me today. Hope you had some fun.